It always starts the same way. A whisper, a faint pull at the edges of your mind, something stirring deep inside you when you least expect it. Desire. Have you ever felt it? That subtle stirring, that restless ache deep inside? And wondered if you should listen? Or do you slam the door shut, afraid of what you might find if you do? Desire is one of the oldest, most primal forces in human existence. From the moment we take our first breath, it shapes us. It haunts us, guides us, sometimes torments us. It's the invisible current beneath the surface of every thought, every choice, every action. And yet society tells us to suppress it. Morality warns us to control it. We're taught that desire is dangerous, selfish, or sinful, something to hide, silence, or deny. But here's the question that rarely gets asked. Is desire your enemy, or your greatest untapped superpower? Look around. History, mythology, art, and even the greatest scientific breakthroughs are all fueled by desire. Desire drives the lovers who cross oceans. It sparks the revolutions that topple empires. It's the flame behind every masterpiece, every invention, every leap forward in human consciousness. Yet desire can also destroy. When denied or twisted, it can become obsession, jealousy, greed, and cruelty. It can burn through lives, relationships, and entire societies. So what is desire really? Where does it come from? And what happens when we refuse to listen? To answer these questions, we must journey beyond the surface, beyond what we're comfortable admitting to ourselves, into the depths of the human psyche, where desire lives both in light and shadow. Imagine desire as a ghost that follows you everywhere. It doesn't speak in words but whispers in moments of longing, flickering in the background of your thoughts. You might try to suppress it, shove it into a dark corner of your mind, pretend it doesn't exist. But it waits. It watches. It hungers. It's the pulse behind every hesitation, the secret reason you dream of things you dare not say aloud. It's there in the restless nights, the sudden rush of passion, the bitter sting of envy. Desire is one of the most powerful forces in human nature, and yet one of the least understood. We talk about it quietly, sometimes shamefully. We cloak it in secrecy, dressing it up with moral judgments or societal rules. But desire isn't a flaw. It's not a weakness to be ashamed of. It's a fundamental part of who we are. Think back to a child reaching out for a flame. The adult's voice is firm. No, you mustn't touch that. It will burn you. The child hesitates, hands frozen in midair. But something ancient calls from that fire. Something deep inside the child's soul. Restriction sharpens the hunger. Denial makes the ache more acute. This is desire's essence. A restless hunger that grows stronger when suppressed. From the moment we become aware of the world, we are trained to deny our early desires. To scream is met with silence. To grab is met with a stern no. To express anger is scolded. To show attraction is shamed. Some restrictions protect us, like the warning not to touch fire. But many are cultural. Rules about how we should act, what we should want, and what is acceptable to express. We learn to hide, subdue, pretend, to understand how desire works. Inside us, we turn to Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. Freud divided the human psyche into three parts. The id, the raw, instinctual, primal part of our mind. It's chaotic, demanding pleasure, power, and satisfaction without concern for consequences. The id only knows what it wants. The ego, the part that negotiates between the id and reality. It tries to satisfy desires in ways that are socially acceptable, keeping us functional in the world. The superego, the moral enforcer built from societal norms, parental rules, and internalized laws. It tells us you must not. It keeps us restrained with guilt and shame. Desire bursts from the id like molten magma, surging upwards. But the superego demands it be pushed back down. Caught in the middle, the ego struggles to maintain balance. When a desire is too dangerous or socially forbidden, it is repressed, locked away deep in the unconscious. But repression comes at a cost. Desires we deny do not disappear. They fester. They mutate. Repressed desires sneak out through dreams, often disguised in symbols and metaphors we don't consciously understand. They erupt as obsessions, irrational fears, or sudden bouts of rage. Sometimes they leak out as sublimation, transformed into art, music, literature, or even religious devotion. But if left unacknowledged for too long, repressed desires can twist into something darker, neurosis, compulsions, and even violence. If Freud explained the mechanics, Carl Jung revealed the consequences. Jung described the shadow, the part of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge or accept. Everyone has a shadow. It contains our rejected impulses, emotions, and desires. The more we deny desire, the darker and more volatile our shadow grows. Imagine someone raised to believe anger is unacceptable. They smile, stay polite, hide their frustration. But one day, something minor triggers an outburst, a sudden explosion of rage. The shadow has broken free. This is desire's paradox. The more you deny it, the more power it gains over you. Most people believe they are in control of their actions. But beneath the surface, desire pulls the strings. It guides the career you choose, the people you're drawn to, the things that inspire or frustrate you. Consider unspoken attraction between colleagues. Neither acknowledges the tension, but the energy builds until it spills over. Or ambition repressed in childhood, turning inward as bitterness or self-sabotage. Desire, no matter how buried, shapes us. It is the silent puppet master behind the scenes. This is just the beginning. In the next parts, we will dive deeper into how repression warps desire into obsession and destruction. We will explore Jung's warnings about the shadow's revenge, and most importantly, we will discover the path to integration, how to reclaim desire as a force of creativity, freedom, and authentic power. Desire is not your enemy. It is the fire within you. But to wield that fire, you must first face the darkness. You might think ignoring desire protects you, that burying it deep beneath layers of control and discipline keeps you safe, sane, and respectable. But repression is a trickster, a thief in the night. What you refuse to face does not vanish. It waits, festers, and grows stronger in the dark. It transforms into something you do not recognize but cannot escape. When desire is locked away, it does not simply disappear. It seeps out in strange, twisted ways, a quiet obsession with control, an unexplained fear that grips you in moments of vulnerability, a sudden wave of jealousy that blinds reason, or a compulsive habit you can't break. These are the shadows of repressed desire clawing their way to the surface, demanding to be acknowledged. Carl Jung called this the revenge of the shadow. The part of you you deny comes back, not politely, but as a monster you cannot ignore. Imagine the man who refuses to admit his own anger, only to explode in rage at the smallest provocation. Or the woman who shames her own longing, only to fall into toxic, destructive patterns. The shadow does not care if you want it or not. It will take control if you give it permission. This is why repression breeds neurosis, the silent psychological disease eating away at your soul. It fractures your identity, creating a gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. Every time you deny desire, you lose a piece of yourself. You grow numb to the fire inside, and in its place, emptiness takes root. But the consequences don't stop with you alone. The denial of desire ripples out, poisoning your relationships, your work, your creativity. It twists how you see the world, and how the world sees you. Desire denied breeds resentment toward others who seem free to live what you suppress. It turns love into codependency, passion into control, and freedom into chains. Look closer. Desire's repression is not just a personal tragedy, it's a societal one. Cultures that condemn desire create underground worlds of hypocrisy and excess. The stricter the rules, the darker the secrets. Every puritanical regime hides its own scandals. Every moral crusader battles personal demons. It's a paradox etched deep into human history. The harder we try to suppress desire, the more violently it erupts. This is why the cost of repression is not just psychological, but physical. Studies show societies that stigmatize sexuality and desire suffer higher rates of anxiety, depression, and emotional disorders. The body and mind rebel when forced to silence what longs to be expressed. You see, desire is not a weakness to be punished, but a vital force to be understood. It is energy, raw, primal, powerful, and like all energy, it cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form. When denied consciously, desire will find expression unconsciously, often in ways that harm you and those around you. Jung warned that to live fully, you must integrate your shadow. Face those parts of yourself you've hidden away in fear or shame. This means looking at your desires honestly, without judgment. It means breaking the cycle of denial and repression that steals your power. Integration is not surrender to every impulse. It is the discipline to see desire for what it truly is, a force that can fuel creation or destruction, depending on how you relate to it. Imagine harnessing that energy, directing the fire of desire into art that moves souls, relationships that grow in truth, and a life lived fully awake. This is the path of transformation, brutal, lonely, and necessary. Most never take it. They settle for surface pleasures or numb themselves with distractions. They hide behind masks, afraid of the chaos beneath. But the price of avoidance is high. A life half-lived, haunted by longing and regret. And yet, there is hope. When you begin to face your desires, the shadow loses its power. It stops controlling you through fear, shame, or compulsion. You become the master of your own inner fire, and paradoxically, when you stop running from desire, you stop chasing it. You no longer need validation or approval from others. You stand rooted, whole, and free. This is the freedom Jung spoke of. The freedom to live without illusion, without performance, without fear. In this freedom, desire becomes your ally, not your enemy. The path ahead is not easy. It demands you confront what you've been avoiding, your own truth, your own hunger, your own darkness. To become whole, you must walk through the fire of desire, not around it. This is the journey Jung called individuation, the lifelong process of becoming the man or woman you truly are, beyond masks and projections. It requires brutal honesty. You must face your fears, your weaknesses, your shame, and your longing without flinching. It means no longer letting others define your worth or shape your identity. It means choosing yourself fully, unapologetically, relentlessly. The moment you do, you stop being a puppet in someone else's play. You stop living to meet the expectations of society, family, or lovers. You become the author of your own story, the master of your own desire. This freedom comes with a cost. People around you will resist. They will feel unsettled by your refusal to perform or conform. They might call you cold, distant, or selfish. They might accuse you of being too much in your head or emotionally unavailable. But this is the paradox of transformation. The moment you become real, you become untouchable. You no longer fit into the predictable categories others rely on for safety and control. Your presence unsettles because it reflects truth. A truth many are not ready to face, and that's okay. Because when you stand fully in your own power, you don't need their approval. You don't need to be loved for the role you play. You are loved, respected, for who you truly are. In this space, desire no longer controls you. You control desire. It becomes a creative force, a source of passion and connection, not a shackle or a weapon. You attract those who are ready to meet you as you are, without masks or fantasies. You attract partnerships built on truth, respect, and freedom. No longer do you chase love or validation. You give love and respect freely from a place of wholeness. And here lies the final truth. The woman or man you seek out there, the perfect partner, the soulmate, the missing piece, is a reflection of the parts of yourself you've abandoned. Until you face your own longing, your own shadow, every relationship will be a performance, every connection a transaction, every love a lie. But when you choose to do the work, to meet yourself in the deepest places, everything changes. You become whole, you become free, you become alive. So here is the challenge, the call to courage, for every man and woman who hears this truth. Stop running from desire. Stop hiding in the shadows of denial. Stop seeking completion in others. Start looking within. Start owning your desires, your fears, your darkness. Face the fire, walk through the storm, and become the master of your own soul. Because this is not just the path to desire's power, it is the path to life itself. If this message resonates, don't let it be another passing thought. Like, share, and hold yourself accountable to the journey ahead. The fire is waiting. Will you step into it?